game getting this thorny chick. Please. Child,
What?
please.
Stop. You say ain't no free game.
Yeah, this ain't free game for nobody to try to scoop me up. Fellas, please put your notepads away.
Lord Jesus, have mercy. It's not even Lord Jesus, have mercy. It's Lord Jesus, have mercy.
Welcome to the Love Is Podcast with your host, that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and her co-host, the lovable a-hole, that's right, I said lovable, Mr. DK Walker, where they will be discussing love, relationships, family, life, sex, self-help, and what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Why? Because love is everything, and everything should be loved. Now to today's podcast.
So you doing the intro?
No, we going live. You wanna, and we're not starting this over. So with that being said, you need to let the people know who you are, what they listening to. Like we can't keep, like people don't want this half-assness. You know what I mean?
One second you're like, oh, I'm gonna do the intro, give it to you, and then that's why
what do you talk? This is not my podcast. I got my own joint to do. So like they probably confused to like what they're listening to right now. So I'm gonna stop talking so you can do the intro so they know they you know the craziness that's about to transpire. Because they probably like, what the hell? How people
every week.
They probably saying like, how's a podcast out and there's no introduction? So we was having a conversation before and I hit the record button. And then she's supposed to sing the button and then come in with, this energy, and it didn't happen. We were still talking. So we're almost a minute in and they probably still wondering like what the hell they're listening to.
You fussing?
I'm not. How was that?
Hello, people. This is the thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, alongside my amazing co-host, a lovable asshole, DK Walker. DK, say hi to the people now that you've fussed at them for a minute.
I didn't fuss at the people. I was just, making sure that they was in the right place, getting the best content for love, humor, relationships on this side of planet Earth. That's our aim. That's our goal. We appreciate you spending time with us, and we're going to make it well worth your while.
Always, always, always. So other than quarantine, the usual quarantine news, anything exciting or new?
Was upstairs with the missus, recently bought a house and, we're late to the game for whatever reason. So we're actually putting the finishing touches on it. And that's, it's nice to actually see your place come together. I'm happy for that. And plus she's not patient. Me, I'm logical. She's like, I want what I want now. And so I had to not be a stick in the mud and concede some things. And I'm kind of glad that I did. I like how things are definitely coming together. Before we started, it's because the podcast probably got recorded earlier, but the painters just left. They was doing an accent wall upstairs. They did a beautiful job in the bedroom. They had to do some touch-up work in the living room. And then, anybody that knows me knows I'm a talkative person. And the guy that does the paint, he's a talkative person too. So he was been finished, but me and him, point, counterpoint, back and forth. And so, yeah, a couple hours later, and I'm so sorry to inconvenience my co-host, but she's such an understanding sweetheart. Okay, maybe not, but here we are.
Right, because I could have still been sleeping. But listen, the joy of a house is you could be like me, wait till a year and you break everything. Let's see, what have I broken recently? Fuse box. Well, I didn't break the fuse box. I broke a circuit. I broken the garbage disposal. I broke the seal on something. Something else I did. Oh, and then the guy that came and fixed the circuit breaker realized that there's a seal because of the whole countertop broken black splash that hasn't been fixed by the company yet, that the water's going behind it, and now the all underneath the countertop is not underneath the countertop, but underneath the sink is completely soaked. So he's got to come in and put something underneath there. So listen, the paint is the easy part. Wait till you start breaking stuff like me. Then it gets real fun and interesting and expensive and super expensive. Thank God for the podcast.
True. That and side hustles. Yeah.
Right, anyway. Right. Speaking of side hustles, my favorite part of the show, called the What the Fuck News. And CNN reported this morning things to do while you're drinking coffee. Read the newspaper. Can the world's oldest profession survive the age of social distancing? Now, for those of you who do not know what the world's oldest profession is, I'll give you a few minutes to think. Prostitution. Yeah, CNN in all their glory. That's what they decided to talk about this morning at 5 a.m.
It's evident a producer was. It's evident a producer on his way to work in the morning time. Like, I can't stop and get a blowjob. So
Listen, he was going by whole stroll, right? He was going by whole stroll and got big mad, not little man. He was big mad. So
like,
this is how the article. This is how the article starts. Don't kiss. Tell clients to wash their hands before they touch you. Wear a mask. Avoid face-to-face positions. And even put on a nurse costume and pull out a thermometer. If his temperature is normal, make it part of the game. If he has a fever, end the session. Like, they went all in. They went all in for this. But the whole thing, though, about it is, though, I'm like, why does it have to be a female? Like, there ain't male prostitutes. But I digress off of that one right this second.
Yeah,
it says what?
Men don't care. So that's why and the illusion is men don't care when it comes to like sex, right? That's the illusion. We really not as picky, so we're not really tripping off COVID-19 at all. And so the illusion that a woman will be a little bit more safer. So
what I'm saying is that there's male prostitutes. We make it seem like it's just female. I'm like, whoa.
Right, but that's to your point. That you don't need that article to pertain to men, because you're right. There's male prostitutes and whatnot. There is, right, but they're not tripping
that
off that. Right, that don't like what? Please, if a man can stand on the corner, right? If man, he not going nowhere. I promise you, I don't give a damn. He not like what? You gonna pay me to have? Okay, right. Like COVID, what? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Lord, COVID is the new cologne for 2020.
Man, if you could hit the restart button, I think a lot of people would do so, right? I really think people would hit the do-over. Like, let's and I don't know, like, COVID, this has been a weird year. It's really been weird. Like, it just feels off in so many ways. But, the very old saying, if somebody gives you lemon, you give them lemonade. And I think this is what this year is doing. Now, I'm not making light of the people that's died from COVID-19. I'm not making light of people that, once this is considered over, for whatever that looks like, maybe behind on their rent, maybe behind on their mortgage. I'm not making light of any of that. But actually, I'm not making light of anything. But what the way I'm looking at this year is positioning people, the go-getters, the grinders, the people that really want to realize their dream, is positioning them to really win. Because what COVID-19 did do for us, and I don't want to go down another COVID-19 rabbit hole, but here we are. But what it really did do for us is it gave us so much time. And most people's biggest argument is they don't have no time. So if you don't got a job to go to, if you can't go to the gym, all these things that you can no longer do, whatever time that you claim that you need, now you have it in abundance. So if you don't execute on the things that you said that you want to do because you didn't have no time, now you got an asshole full of time. It had nothing to do with the lack of time. It had much to do with dedication. So, like, looking at the bad things that's contributed to COVID-19, it's really messed up. It's really weird. People are dying. And then this whole social distancing thing is, right, people not meant to no man is meant to be an island. And the social distancing thing doesn't help with that at all. But in the same token, it gives you a bunch of time to actually get your act together. And once we come out of it, because some shape, form, or fashion, we're coming out of this. And what's going to happen is the people that's been preparing while they're in the midst of this, they're going to propel really hard. And for the people that's been, maybe just watching a whole lot of TV, maybe eating a lot, maybe doing nothing a lot, they're going to be really behind. And I'm not even talking about bills. So that's the way I'm looking at that.
Facts. Well, the sex workers are trying to get in positions, all right, and they definitely trying to grind, but not the kind we talking about.
Yeah, well, even I really haven't given that any thought, but I mean, you're not stopping that show. I don't give a damn. Like, think about it. People been turning tricks and AIDS was like running rampant. Tricks were still being turned. So I don't think COVID-19 has stopped tricks from being, I just don't. Nothing is going to stop that profession because it's supply and demand is long. And I'm speaking from the man-woman ratio. I understand that there are men prostitutes. I get that, right? But I'm speaking because nothing's going to stop a man wanting for whatever reason to have that need, that want fulfilled. And as long as a woman believe that, you know, she can and get away with it, then they're going to meet some way how. So it may not be on the local hostro. It may not be on the pages of back pages. It's no longer in existence. It may not be going down in the DMs, but some way, somehow, business is still being conducted and used condoms is on somebody's floor.
Ew. Oh.
Stop. Don't act like you ain't. Come on now. Come on. You act like you never had in a hotel and the condom was on the floor or you left the condom in the bed. Like, don't. Bougie people. I just don't get it. They act so like, oh, this is so beneath me. What? I digress. I'm sorry. Maybe
if I'm not in control of the condom, I don't know where the condom goes. That's
okay, but how are you in control of the condom?
Exactly. That's why I said I'm not in control of the condom.
I don't know. Right. You don't. Okay, I got you. Because he's putting it on, and then whatever his business is handled.
Exactly.
Right. So we may think that he's walking to the bathroom and he's properly disposing it. He just may be a cruddy dude. Throw it on the floor, lay in bed, and then you have pillow talk. I don't know.
Well, to talk to us about anything other than use condoms on the floor. Or round two. Text us at 202.
That should be the name. I'm sorry to talk over you. Please forgive me. That should be the name of this podcast. Condoms on the floor. I'm just
baby better.
Instead of getting on the floor, condoms on the floor. I digress. I'm sorry.
Pop song.
Say again?
It sounds like a bad 80s pop song.
Yes, this is true.
With a whole bunch of innuendos that you don't understand until you're grown. But to text us about anything other than use condoms and baby batter, you can text us at use condoms on the floor 202-715-1645. Also, if you have any questions again about not use condoms on the floor or baby batter, you can email us at askdk@nlpublishing.com. That is askdk@enelpublishing.com. To send us your feedback, love what you think love is videos that we do need to be at least a minute long, go about a minute and 10 seconds, a little longer. So most of us are long-winded anyway. Make sure those videos are in landscape position. You can send those to loveispodcast@nlpublishing.com, enelpublishing.com. To find us and the things that we normally talk about, our social media handles. I am the Jamerican, DAJAMERICAN at Instagram.com. The podcast itself, of course, is on Instagram as well. The Love Is Podcast. That is love is podcast. And you can find, of course, The Lovable Asshole as well on Instagram at Books by DK Walker. You can find us also on Facebook. We have a Facebook like page. You can look for our logo, which is a red heart torn in two with a pair of headphones, which should in relativity be easy to find. But of course, there's a couple other podcasts with the same name, The Audacity and the Gall. You can also add us at Love Costs Nothing and Everything at Facebook.com.
True. And let's give them a little backstory on the videos that we're asking for. So if you follow us on IG, if you follow us to the fan page, what's going to happen by the time you hear this, you'll be hearing this podcast is that you'll have fans of the podcast, was kind enough to assist us in them telling us what love means. So they send the videos to that email address that Karen gave. Could you give that email address again?
loveispodcast@nlpublishing.com, enelpublishing.com.
Yeah, that is the Love Is Podcast@nlpublishing.com. So what happens is people give their take on what love is. It starts the video, love is, and they go into their whole spiel. So if you feel moved to join the movement, we would greatly appreciate that. That's one of the main reasons that we actually got this podcast started, because I still believe that love isn't discussed enough. Love is the secret sauce, in my opinion, to everything. And I want to thank everybody that took the time out to actually, expose themselves, like be really, transparent in what they believe love to be. And so, like I said, by the time you be hearing this podcast, you'll be definitely seeing those videos. Make sure that you share them if you feel, the need to. Make sure you definitely comment underneath them as well. And we would like for you not to feel left out. And we love to see your videos too. Make sure it's in landscape. That means you hold your smartphone sideways. Make sure that the video is at least a minute and some seconds long. We would greatly appreciate that.
Facts. And thank you to the people, our friends, our colleagues, everybody who's participated. And it's not just for ladies. Guys, we want to hear from you too.
True,
I know
true.
A lot of times I come from the woman perspective, so I address everything to the girls. Got to get you fellas involved too. I don't want y'all to feel left out, because your perspective is definitely necessary to make this podcast thrive. I need to know what you think about what I'm saying, and DK as well. Because again, my perspective can be a little jaded. I'm a girl. What do you want from me?
Little? Did you say little?
Huh?
Did you say little?
No, I said I'm a girl. What do you want from me?
No. You said your perspective can be a little jaded. You just sure a little, right?
Just a little.
Right.
Just a little.
Okay.
So today we are going to discuss, DK Walker, what we think love is.
Right. So, and true. That's the topic of today. This is our first podcast, and it's only fair, since we're asking everybody to chime in on what love is. It's only right that the people that's asking you to participate themselves. And me, being the gentleman that I am.
Oh,
don't be that bullshit. I'm going to allow. Don't be that bullshit. I'm going to allow Karen to, tell our great listening audience what love is, what love means to you.
All right, let's see. I'm kind of flipping a coin. I feel like Harvey Dent right now. Do I go all in on the thorny side, or do I try to, go down the middle and make it sound great?
Stop. Pause. So why would you have to ask that? So, we're priding ourselves here on being transparent. So if your heart is speaking to, you being edgy, but as long as you're being truthful, then that's what you give. Like, I can't, one thing about this is you can't tell somebody else what love means to them. It's not even possible, because they're a separate person from you. Like, it's all the makeup and the dynamics are so different. It's not even funny. But like, if you're going to go in. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here to go in, to be honest, to a fault, painfully honest to a fault. So by all means, no need, put the coin away, come from the heart. Let the people know what love means to you. I'm pretty sure, a couple of male admirers out there wants to know, the secret to your heart, the key to your heart, and what rhythm does it dance to? And you can help them by letting them know truly, honestly, what love means to you at this present time. So let me shut up, which is a hard thing to do, and let you go ahead and let people know what love means to you.
Ain't no free game getting this thorny chick. Please. Child.
What?
Please.
Stop. You say ain't no free game.
Yeah, this ain't free game for nobody to try to scoop me up. Fellas, please put your notepads away.
Lord Jesus, have mercy. It's not even Lord Jesus, have mercy. It's Lord Jesus, have mercy. Like, I'm confused. Like, that's another podcast too. Like, I promise you, in the very near future, one of the podcasts is going to be on the death of courtship. Like, cause like I don't understand this whole new dynamic. We're going to go so deep and hard. I promise you on that. But yeah, let me shut up. Like, all right, run that. What does love mean to you?
So love for me is the evolving of two people. I've learned from my past relationships that who I was at 20 is not who I am at 30, and now I'm approaching 40. I know what I used to think and how I used to act aren't all similar. And the kind of the hard part and the hurtful part is that who you evolve into might not be who your partner evolves into. You two might be two people who are evolving away from each other instead of going together. And when you realize that, you have to make the determination of, Are we going to still go down this road called life together, or are we going our separate ways? Because who I am now might not be the person that you met 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And you might not like this person. And I'm not obviously about to change or possibly submit to who you want me to be, because it's just impossible. Once you kind of change who you are, it's kind of hard to go backwards when all of, life is pulling you forward. So for me, love is evolving.
That's all you got. We ask people to go a minute and some change, and that's all you got. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm pretty sure there's more around there. Some like I'm pretty sure you educated, you can expound. I'm pretty sure you can go deeper. The people need more.
The people need more. The people need more. I think that we don't take the time to have adult conversations in love, especially when we first get into relationships. We like the honeymoon phase. We like meeting the person's representative, and we don't really like the person that they truly are. And so in evolving into who you're supposed to be, you have to really make hard decisions in relationships. And I know for me, sometimes it's not always the easiest, because I've been in a relationship where I stayed longer than I should have. And when the handwriting was on the wall, and not to say it was abusive or anything like that, because I would pray I would never let myself be in those situations, and I'm not, throwing rocks at anybody who has. But sometimes your heart is so tied to somebody that it is so hard to unknit it from each other. And that when you get to that place where you're just like, okay, what the fuck do I do? Do I leave, or do I stay, or do I leave? And sometimes, we convince ourselves that staying is easier, but then when we realize and we're out of it, like, we've wasted so much time that we could have done life either alone and got to where we needed to be. Because sometimes when you separate, you find out that you need the business, that you need to do this, that you need a podcast, that you need a book, that you need a blog, that you need something different than what you're doing. And we sometimes, in the absence of wanting to not hurt ourselves or hurt the person that we quote unquote love so much, we will really accept anything. And that's not how, love is supposed to go. It's not how life is supposed to go. Hold on.
And that's like, well, that's that cardinal rule, like there should never be dead air on the mic.
That wasn't intentional. I thought I was going to choke to death.
Say again?
I thought I was choking to death. It was my sinuses. I have this whole drainage, lovely moment going on. So I feel like
we thank you for thugging it through on the podcast. Like, it is hay fever season and pollen in the air and the whole thing. Sinuses acting up, and here you are being a true trooper, giving us your definition of what love is. Do you have any more? Like, I think you got a lot more in you. I believe you got a lot more.
No, I think that's it for right now. Me and my bear are going to take a moment. Yep.
Wow.
It'll trigger something in me, so we'll just do that.
So I got a problem just being an ass, right? So, because she like, that stemmed from her earlier saying that I'm not giving away free game. So I think mentally she, like, I'm not saying she limited her answers. She was just real, like, exact on what she was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, you got, and she can be mad at me because she can probably swear I took shots on her on the podcast, but it is what it is. So that was her guarded answer of, what love means to her. And I'm not knocking the hustle, like, whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you through in life. So, long story, extremely longer. Love is to me simple, right? Real simple. Like, it's you would think, as much as I talk, you would think, as much as I love to hear the sound of my voice, no matter if I sound like I'm going through puberty or not, you would think that, I'm about to give you this long-winded, real big, grandiose definition of what love means to me. But if you were to bet, you would lose what little money you have in your lint-filled pockets. Love is simple. Love is just a misunderstanding between two people. Bottom line, flat out, it's a misunderstanding between two people. And so right about now, you got to be scratching your head like, DK, what you like? We know you're an asshole. We know we know from listening to you from 23 minutes in that you think you smart, or you think that you got the gift of gab. But like, how can you just sit up and say love is a misunderstanding between two people? So love is a lot of things. Matter of fact, love is all things, is either love or lack thereof. But I promise you, we're going to get real deep into it. So the stuff I was asking Kern to do, far as going deep in, I'm not going to ask me to do that, because I've been geeked for this moment for a very long time. I love talking about love because there is no answer. There is no absolute. There is no right and wrong. There just is what you believe it to be. acceptance. What you believe it to be, acceptance. So when I say love is a misunderstanding between two people, you can have man, woman, woman, woman. It doesn't matter. They were raised or reared in different environments. They learn love from different people. So there's no way possible they can have the same understanding of love, and they're moving in from two entirely different spaces. So when you go through the courtship phase, which is then died many years ago, you go through that and you're getting to know a person. We have all these great conversations. When you had these great conversations, you may talk about hopes, dreams, aspirations. You may have like some drinks in you and get frisky. You might talk about sex, and then the guy, because women, they try their best to stay reserved and being ladylike, which is a great thing, by the way. I think that's like uber sexy. But the guys, like, they put all their business. I'm into all of this stuff here. She looking like, oh, you gave me too much too soon. But we have all these crazy conversations, but we don't have the one conversation that we all need to make to even think that the person that you're conversing with back and forth is compatible. We rarely sit down and talk about, this is what love means to me. And then that person this is what love means to me. And then you can, okay, well, will that work for me? And the other person can ask themselves, will that work for them? And that's why I get, the definition is that love is a misunderstanding between two people, because we get in relationships, we start to get bills together, we have kids together, we do all this stuff. And never once did we even take the time out to have that conversation. Well, what do you believe love to be? We may be talking, we may have the conversation of, how we're going to rear kids. We may talk about our faith, our religion, what we believe to be true, way we're going to pay taxes, our political beliefs. We talk about all these things, but we skirt the relationship of love because it's a misunderstood thing. But the way to have a basic understanding of it is to at least have an honest conversation with it. If you or with your, the significant other, or the person that you one day hope to be your significant other, right? So case in point, had a cookout Saturday, family over the house. So we having a great time, and me being the opportunist that I am, whipped up smartphone, went around the room, asked people the same questions that we're talking about now, which is love is, right? And so when it got time for my wife to give me her 2 cents, like, think about it. I've been with Nikki, fly Robin, 13 years. That's including the time before we got hitched, right? We've never had that conversation. So when I'm telling you is not me, trying to sound deep, that's not what I'm doing. I'm speaking from experience. Like, I've been with my wife for 13 years and I don't even know what love is to her. That's crazy, right? Like 13 years. So when it was her time to speak on the video, like, it was crickets, because she was like, I really didn't. I had to think about this, and it got kind of awkward, because I would think, being with this person, like, we got kids together, we just copped a house together, we've even had high highs, and we've even had the lowest of lows together. I promise you. But I couldn't tell you what love meant to her, and she could not tell you what love meant to me. Like, how do you even get 13 years into anything and you don't even got the foundation down? The foundation, should be love, but you don't even got the foundation down. But you 13 years into something, you don't even I gotta give the grace to God. That's God. It's the only reason I'm still married to this day, because of God. If it was left up to me and her, we would have been gone our separate ways, because we wasn't even standing on a solid foundation, because we don't even got to understand what love is to each other. I don't get it. I wish I did, right? So listen to the doggone videos. Everybody says pretty much the same thing, and I'm not knocking the hustle, right? I promise you I'm not. They're saying the same thing, because what happens is they have this ideology, they romanticize what love is. And once again, I can't tell you what love means to you. So they start off, love is understanding, love is being kind, love is being caring, love is being all these things. You say something?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay, cool. Not a problem. So love is being all these things, not a problem. Cool. Right. That's what love means, right? So where did you learn that from? Like, so what person in your life instilled that into you? Or is it because you then watched certain movies, read certain books, and then you gravitated towards that because it sounded good to say? Like, the first thing you need to do is honestly assess yourself, and like, what does love mean to you? Do yourself the hugest of favors and be like, okay, if I'm going to love my mate, accept him or her as is, right? If I'm going to champion them on, if I'm going to believe them on, I'm going to do all this for my mate. Like, first of all, I believe, and once again, there's no right and wrong, but this is what I believe. Before you can love anybody else, shout out to my man Chuck Brown. God bless the rest of that. First time I ever heard this dog saying it didn't make no sense to me, but once you get older, then the light goes off. Before you love anybody else, you got to love yourself. So all these things that you're talking about you're going to do for somebody else, why don't you go ahead and do that for yourself? Why don't you be more understanding for yourself, more accepting for yourself? Like, it's a beautiful thing when you start just like, I love me for me, flaws and all, flat out. Me, like it's no cut calls. It's just me. I love me for me. Like, if you rock with me, cool. If you don't, that's so much better. But once you start to accept you for you, man, the clutter just flows out your life. I promise you, the clutter just like, it's like the luggage is you. I love me. I promise you, I love every inch of me. And I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, you could stand to lose a few pounds, but it's cool. I still love my fat ass. Not a problem. Not a problem whatsoever. So anybody that wants to start to really, delve deep into what love is, take the same attributes that you want to apply to that significant other in your life and do yourself a huge favor and apply that to yourself.
So for
now
people
you're cooking with fish grease. Go ahead. You good.
So for people who have maybe not been grown up, who didn't grow up in homes where they saw love and things like that, they do, come to a place where they're learning about love from a book, a comic book, a magazine, because us girls, we're big cosmopolitan readers who take the quizzes, and now we got digital now.
Hold that thought. What? Stop. What you said was beautiful. Right. What you just said, I'm sorry. We're trying our best not to talk over, but I don't want to miss this point. So when she said it just bang, hit home. Look, she said when you learn from a comic book, like really, there's two places I learned love from because I'm an avid reader, right? Because in my home life, it was like a war zone. Not a problem. Love my mother and father to death, but it was still a war zone. So there's no way I can contribute that chaos as love, right? So I'm going to get to the comic book thing. I definitely learned love or a version of love off 2 TV shows. One was Bill Cosby. The other one was definitely Martin Lawrence. More so Martin because Martin was the dude with the girlfriend and the friends, and you could relate. Like, the Cosby Show was cool too, but Martin, like everybody was in the house when Martin was on, and everybody wanted a Gina. Not necessarily the way that she looked, but what her and Martin represented. It represented like people in the hood, everyday people going through, but still, and they still staying together. That's why but when you say comic book, whoa, I got a story for your ass. Don't even worry about it. Look, I got the worst ass whipping known to man behind a comic book because I was. I love what whomever was writing that comic at the time was doing with the characters. I'm going to be long-winded. I suggest you go ahead and get yourself something to drink. Well, I'm gonna try my best not to be. Long story longer. The Incredible Hulk had a girlfriend. Her name was Jalara. He was fighting some guy. He was trying to get her to safety. She got killed, died. So I've never seen, and anybody that's been, following the Avengers movie, they flat out Hulk is strongest one there is. I don't give a damn what Thanos did to him in the first joint. Yeah, garbage. Don't even worry about it. Hulk is strongest one there is. And as a kid, this moves me because I've never seen the strongest being cry. I'm a kid, so I'm trying to figure out what this love thing is, right? This is my hero. My hero is crying. Like, what's going on here? My hero is crying. Comic book, like the next issue, the next edition comes out, and I know it's out, right? Because it comes out monthly. So you time it. Last time I went to the store, 7-Eleven. So it's been about the time I'm gonna go back. Like, so I asked my father on that Saturday. My father looked at me. It was crazy. My father was dressed to the nines. He had on the platform shoes, the Applejack hat. The big colorful shirts. Yes, I am that old. If I'm describing that scene right there, and that went over your head, like, what the hell is he talking about? Who wears that stuff? Yes, I am that old. And of course, my father, because he was out going to do whatever it is that he was going to do. Now I'm not going that way. Now you can wait. But I'm not thinking like, y'all don't understand my favorite comic book character. He was crying because the woman he loved died. Like, I get that you and my mother don't even know what love is, but I got an inkling because through a comic book, I'm starting to understand that you can cry for somebody, no matter how strong that you can be, that you can go ahead and cry. Like, no, it doesn't, like, strength doesn't stop you from being like vulnerable. And as a kid, I got that you can be vulnerable and still be as strong as ever. Like, that was a huge lesson in my life. Not a problem. This was Saturday. So for the rest of the weekend, I was heated because I couldn't get to the store at all. And let me give you some backdrop. So my father went outside. This is as crazy as a kid I was. He went outside, jumped in his Cadillac. Of course, if he's dressed in platform shoes, Applejack hat with a doggone large lapel on his shirt, looking like he's a pimp with no hose, yeah, he jumps in the Cadillac about to go handle his business. I don't know. He wasn't taking me to get my come book. And me, in all of my rage, like my hero, I turn and throw a rock and hit his car. My father's a big dude. I have never seen my old man move that quick. I run up the steps. I was in an apartment. We stay on the top floor. I take 2 or 3 steps at the time. I'm lighting the ass. I'm moving. The front door was open. I come through the door. I see, and everything's in slow motion. It's crazy. When you're running in fear, you're running for your life. Everything's in slow motion. I come through the door, boom. I'm looking to my right. My mother's sitting on the couch with the plastic on it because it's the doggone 70s. I look to my right. I see her, and her face is saying, "What the fuck?" I am heading towards my room. Boom. Father coming right behind me. And she realized what the fuck is right behind me. I get to my room, and like the great ball player that I will never want it to be, I slide into home right underneath the bunk bed, and I figure like he can't get me underneath this bunk bed. I just threw a rock at his doggone candy red Cadillac with the white walls. I promise you, my father, you couldn't tell him nothing. He was fly as shit. So, long story short, he one hand flips the bunk bed just like it was a feather. Like bunk bed has stuff on it. It's a bunk bed. It has some weight on it. At least to me, because I was a kid, I couldn't move it. Or I had difficulty moving it. So he flips the joint, not a problem, out the way, boom, hits the wall. I don't know how he got the belt out his pants that hard, that fast, pardon me, but he does. And so in one motion, bed this way, belt out, and I'm on the floor exposed with no place to go. Lord have mercy. Why did I think twice before I threw a rock and hit that man's car? What y'all deem as child abuse did not apply back then. Yeah, so safe to say I got my ass tore out the frame. Like, I promise you. He beat me till he was tired. Put his belt back on. Yeah, told me to clean up the damn room. And don't you ever in your damn life, boy, throw a rock at my damn car. Safe to say at that point in time, I think my father loved the car more than he loved me. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so it was more so of a disrespect thing, not the lack of love. So he goes about his business. I come out of the room. My mother looking like, she don't even know what to say. Because like my father would never, that was his first time truly beating me, right? Because in his eyes, I could do no wrong, right? Daddy's baby. And that time I crossed the line. So he tore my ass up. Not a problem. Physically, I'm hurt. Pride is hurt, but I still have a mission to do. I'm going to get my comic book no matter what. And I told you this story was long, but I promise you, it's going to be good. I promise you that. So Sunday comes through. There's no getting out the house. I'm like licking my wounds, avoid my father at all costs. There's tension in the air, not a problem. Monday comes, 6th grade. I go to school, see my man, Antonio Adams. Say, Antonio, my book is on. He said, I know. What we going to do? I said, because I'd asked my mother, like, yo, can I walk to 7-Eleven? And she was like, no, boy, it's too damn far from your school. You too small. I'll get you down there some way, somehow. But who knows when that would be. And they mess around be sold out. And I need to find out what the hell happened to Huck's girlfriend. Of course, my daughter corrects me. She says the Hulk with the L. Me, it's Huck. Leave me alone. So school lets out. Me and him, F it, we're going. It's really not that far of a walk. My mother's only problem was there's a big hill and you can't see because Flies is Willow Road. By the way, anybody that's listening to the podcast that's in the DC area, Southeast, look, Willow Road, top of the hill, cars zooming, right? And I'm telling my mother, it's cool because you got the crossing guard at the top of the hill, and then at the bottom of the hill, you have a light. I will cross at the top of the top where the crossing guard is at, get to the bottom of the hill, cross back over Mississippi Avenue, I'll go to 7-Eleven, not a problem. That's how I'm going to do that. So she's still telling me, no, it's too dangerous. I am not trying to hear that shit. I am on a mission. So after school, boom, me and my man, we walk down, go get the comic book. And as I get the comic book, I hold it in my hand. And I'm stuck, like literally stuck. Now, like my man, he's a comic book head, but for some reason, it just don't touch him like it touches me because I'm in the process of learning about love, right? I get the comic book and I'm walking uber slow because I'm reading as I'm walking. I'm and I'm moved. Like I read this comic book at least 10 times before. And it's like only like a 15, 20 minute walk from the 7-Eleven, like at the bottom of Willow Road, going back over to 15th Street Southeast. It's only like 15, 20 minute walk, not a problem. But it took me forever to get back home because I'm keep reading. So my thing is I get in the house. My mom, what took you so long from coming to school? Nothing, playing around with friends. And so she's none the wiser because what I've done before. Like I'll walk him almost home and he'll veer off going back to, over Garfield, boom. And then I come in the house. Sometimes it's 25, 30 minutes later than, I usually get home from school. So I could have just been honest and rocked out with that. But I'm excited because now that I read this comic book, I don't feel as bad. Yes, his girlfriend had died, but what happened is when he buried her, because he buried her on a burned planet. And when he buried her, the planet was just rocks and dirt, and the planet itself was dying. But after he buried her, the planet started to come to life. And so he stopped crying. And two things I've never seen a hug do. I never seen him cry, never seen him smile up until that point. And at the end of the story, he smiled. So it let me know that it was okay. I felt so much better. Like my hero gonna be all right. Love is a beautiful thing. Like love revives. That's what I got from that love. Because she died, but even her body brought a dead planet back to life. Not a problem. So I'm imploring my mother, you got to read this comic book. You got to read this comic book. And so my mother got a lot going on. Like she got a crazy husband, my middle brother crazy, and then I'm crazier than all them put together. So I keep begging her, please read the comic book. And she like, Donnell, where'd you get that book from, boy? I thought right there, right? Because we used to go to Sunday school. And, the thing was, thou shalt not lie. Why did I have to pay attention to Sunday school? All I had to do was lie. I got it from Tonio. He went and got the joint. I bet. Like I could have told a lie. Kevin moving been good. I told the truth. I told her I went to 7-Eleven and got it. So not only did I got my ass tore up Saturday, after I told my mother I defied her orders, specifically walked my ass across the street in her mind that she thought was too dangerous. Nope. She beat me. See, the thing is, my father was swinging and he hit me a few times, but in his rage, he was more so hitting the floor than he was hitting me. My mother, old school. She don't play that. She wants you to hold still. Yeah, I mean, get on your knees with your butt hung over the bed and then put your hands stretched out. So if you put your hands back there, you at least 15 to 20 minutes in. When I say that was the worst ass whipping known to man, because in her mind, I could have died. And since I could have died, her job was to kill me in the process. Oh, God. So she told me out the frame. Then she told my father. My father was like, nah, I'm gonna let him make it because it had to be important to him because this is the first time ever in his young life that both of us beat him within 48 hours. So I'm gonna let him make it. But was it worth it? I promise you. I got the worst whipping 2 times in a row behind love.
I must not love that deep because ain't no way I'm getting a beating by my 6-foot father. And my mother, mind you, my parents are Jamaican, so I feel like they beat different. They get real inventive with beatings because, that's that whole island blood. They get mad real fast. They reach for all kinds of sorts of things. Like, I remember one of us got spanked with a bamboo stick. You ever been spanked with a bamboo switch?
No, can't say that I have.
I don't know where my parents got it from, but they had one. And let me tell you, that's a beating unlike any other. But yeah, no, I'm not. I must not want that kind of love. Not in this century or the next.
At all. And
not to get beat by both my parents. No, thank you. I'll pass.
I'm a lot of things, and sometimes I'm not bright. I've got a little smart in my older age, but younger, I was just like very impulsive. So I gave y'all that very long-winded and hopefully entertaining story, for a couple of reasons. Like, love touches people in different ways. So you never know when that first concept of love hits you. Like I didn't. And what I did know at a young age that what I was experiencing, and just the part that I want you to get from that story, that long-winded story that I pray to God was entertaining because I thought it was and it had spots of humor. I thought that was dead on. But what I wanted you to get from that story was one thing. You never know when love strikes you, when you start to learn what love really could do and be true. It was nothing but a comic book, right? But I had to learn about it somewhere because I wasn't getting it, in the household. And you have to be really careful what you start to perceive love to be. Some people, they'll see their mother and father and fight, right? Some women, no, not. And even some men, they think that it has to be always a violent situation to equate love. Like I need him to hit me, or I need her to hit me, or I need her to be mad at me or something. And then that's the way that I'm loved. So I'm going to do something to provoke them, or I don't got to do nothing at all. I'm just going to get into an abusive relationship, right? Because I've seen that in my household and I transferred that over into my adulthood. Right. So whomever is listening to, I need you to do me a couple of things. But the most important thing I need you to do is whatever you learned or first learned of love, if it's bullshit and it's really not working in your life, let it go. let it go. Like, you owe nobody. It's cool. Like, not saying there was anything wrong with your parents. Like, my parents were one of a kind. Like, but they wasn't perfect because they wasn't perfect people. There's no such thing as a perfect person, but they were the perfect parents for me, right? But as I got older, I understood certain things I can't bring with me into adulthood. It just doesn't work because I knew it was bullshit back then. Pardon me, and I'm not going to subject my kids to the bullshit of the day. That's doing them a great disservice. The thing is, for any kid is to be better than their parents. So you can't pull and say because, oh, it's cool, Big Mama did it. The Big Mama loved this way, or my dad did it. This is the way he showed love. He don't really talk no much, but he lay hands. Like, come on, man, stop. It's all right. Just like, no, we're not doing that. Like, I promise you, I tell my daughter so much that I love them, I care for them. Like, I champion them so much. They look at me like, man, Dad, could you please just, we know we love you. We know that you love us, y'all. But y'all don't understand, like, because I'm not going to be here forever. And so if you know nothing else, if I don't leave you with no other thought of me, you will always say, I know. It will be no guesswork. I know my dad loved me. If he ain't do nothing else, I know he loved me.
And for them, that's important, especially for girls, because I feel like girls who aren't told that enough go seeking for men who validate that in them. And when validation isn't really what you need out of love, you need acceptance. You need somebody who says, okay, you're good, you're bad, you're ugly, what all that you come with, all the bag of tricks and all the bag of crazy you come with, I'll take on. But I think sometimes when you're not getting that validation at an early age, you start looking for it in the wrong places. And when you start looking for outside validations versus inside validation, then you end up in situations where you end up with somebody who could be abusive or just, and sometimes abuse, we always make it out to be, physical, and it's not. You can get with somebody who's verbally abusive. You can get with somebody who's mentally abusive, who, likes to play games, likes to play mind games, worse than Inception.
Oh, great movie, by the way. Great
worse
movie.
than Inception. And want to, be like, oh no, I'm right. I love you, but you need to do what I want you to do. No, that's not how love works. Love is definitely a verb, but it don't mean, be Joe Jackson or Ike Turner.
Oh, stop. See, we're not going to talk about Joe Jackson. Like, yeah. I would. Okay, so it's a difference. If my father would have beat me and I don't want to turn like Mike. There's nothing wrong with Mike. That's not going. But if you would have beat me and I became that talented, that big of an influence in the world, by all means, if by your beatings and your discipline, I'd have turned out like, please, more men should beat like Joe Jackson. As long as their kids have the potential of Michael Jackson. But if I don't got the potential of Michael Jackson, don't beat me like that, then I'm just a regular kid doing regular kid shit.
Right. You know what? I don't think I've actually spanked. I don't spank as much as my parents did. My parents honestly weren't big spankers. I can't even say that they were. They had like principles on the wall. And if you disobeyed one, then you knew imminent death was approaching. I think I've kind of instilled that in my kids. I'm serious. You knew, because it was like almost like two sets of rules. It looked like it's like looking at the 10 Commandments. It's like, listen, these are 10 things we abide by. These are moms, these were dads, and you knew whoever's you broke, that's the one that was going to kill you. And if it was my dad's, then my dad spanked you. If it was my mom's, then she spanked you. And I think because we were with our mom so much that we're kind of like at a point where you're like, she only gonna spank us. She gonna get tired. She's old. She's over spanking 3 kids at one time. Like, it's just not her cup of tea. Like, where depending on where you are in the lineup of how it's gonna work. If you're the middle child, you get it really easy because she ain't gonna waste that much time. You really probably get popped twice and she move it on to the last child, so she can exert all that energy out, as best as she can evenly. So me as a parent, I really never spanked. I did have like the 10 rules that you go by. And I'm like, well, if you go against this, then no cell phone. I would dismantle the TV, cut off the cable, and those types of things. And now, I'm looking at my child who's older, and I'm like, and I love the relationship we have now because it's a lot more open. It's a lot more, the communication is there. And my kids definitely know, whether it's my niece, my nephew, my grandson, my daughter, they all know that I love them. And it's not, out of a discipline thing. Because I think, obviously there's a little tongue in cheek in there where some parents are like, oh, I don't spank my child because I love them. And others are like, oh, I spank my child because I love them. And it's like, yes, love is a verb, but it doesn't necessarily have to be harmful. And love being a verb is more so, showing them how kind of like your heart, the shape of your heart is for them.
Facts. Speaking of disciplining child is kind of crazy. I popped my mom once. Like I literally like, was in the store and she was doing stuff and I was telling her to stop. And it was more so because she was in, she's about to hurt herself. She didn't understand the danger, what she was doing. Like, and of course, older people always talk about let a kid be a kid. Like, hey, let your kid be a kid. Like I see my child about to fall and bust her head. I'm going to pop her ass. And so I popped her like she was doing it. And I had told her to stop and she kept doing it. Like I'm going to, see how far I can go. And it was just a reflex thing, but it was even hard. Just let me get your attention. And so we was in, I believe it was in Best Buy. And so the guy came up, can I help you? Like, yeah, I just popped my kid. He was like, what? Like, yeah, she was been hard headed, right? Like, yep, she just caught it. And he's like, how can I help you? I'm like, yeah, actually you can't. You might want to help her and tell her it's going to be all right. You can go around the corner and tell her daddy still love her.
Breaking heart, right? You might want to console her breaking heart right now.
She looked at me like, how dare you? Like, you? Not you. I thought I had you wrapped around my finger. I'm like, no, stop lying to yourself. You don't. But the one time where I supposedly beat my, this is crazy. I told her to tell me something and be honest because we don't, for as it stands now, right? If you tell me something like it doesn't necessarily result in physical discipline. It doesn't. Like if we have an honest, because I want you to always know, no matter what, you come talk to your father. I'm not the type of guy, no matter how old I may be, I'm not, steadfast in my ways. So something had happened. I'm like, she told me what it was. And then her mother felt as though like, she needs to get a spanking, not for the fact of telling the truth, but the actual action. And I told her, if you tell me what it is, there'll be no punishment coming. We can talk it through so it doesn't happen again. So on one hand, my wife was like, she getting her ass whipped. On the other hand, it was like, daddy said, you're not getting your ass whipped. So what do you do? Right? What do you do? So my wife was about to go in the bedroom and get at her. And I'm like, I just gave my baby my word, but I can't make my wife not do it. And that's going to cause a discord between us, right? But I gave my word. And something you have to understand when you're like, your kids really look up to you and they hold fast. They want to believe that once you tell them something, no matter whatever it is that you told them, that it's in stone. And so they had that level of trust. And since my word was my bond between me and her, she knows if daddy tell her something, it may take a minute, it's going to happen sooner or later. Like, oh, daddy said that's why I don't got to ask no more. He may be a little slow. Things may be a little whatever, but he going to do what he said he's going to do. So long story short, my wife gets up to the table, but I go give it to him. I'm like, nah, I got it. You know what I mean? It was my situation. I'm going to handle it. And she looked at me like, yeah, right. Yeah, who you think you fooling, right? Like, nah, I got it. I promise you, I got it. So I go, see, I don't know if my wife's going to listen to the podcast, so maybe the secret will stay a secret. Who knows? So I go in the bedroom and I like, look, I'm about to tell my mom I'm about to tear your ass up. So she just flats out lose it. Like she's never got a real whipping before. She in there joint, I mean, like my baby. And I can't stand to see a woman cry, especially my mom, my wife, and definitely my daughter, like my youngest, both my daughters. I can't stand, especially my youngest. That's my heart, right? You know what I mean? So she's going through it. But in the back of my mind, I have to find a way to hold on to my word. Like I said you wasn't. And she kept telling me, you told me I wasn't. So I feel like I was about to, by beating her, she was going to, disciplining her. Like, I don't know who's listening. I don't want to get arrested. So by disciplining her, like I gave her my word that it wouldn't happen. So I was like, so this is the crazy part. I was trying to whisper to her, but she's going off like, look, I know what I said. I just need you to lay across my lap and hand me the pillow. She's still going off, and it didn't dawn on her what I was trying to do. So long story short, I snatched her up, threw her across my lap, and I grabbed the pillow, and I was hitting the pillow hard. And then she stopped screaming, right? And I like, no, you got to keep that act going. Your mother got to hear you giving that. Your mother got to hear you giving this performance, right? So we go at it for 2-3 minutes and whatnot. I come out the room and then I act like I'm so hurt, but I want to start laughing. So I just go in the room and just close the door, whatever the case may be. And I told Mama, like, just stay about 20 minutes when you come out, have tears in your eyes. This will be our secret. Next morning, we sit at the breakfast table and my wife just brings up, you ain't beat that damn girl. Who you think you fooling? I never confirmed nor deny it to this day, until now.
Y'all both gonna get a beating tonight. When she hears this, this podcast, it's on and popping.
I don't know if she's gonna listen. Like, she supports in a lot of ways, but podcasting and things of that nature, I don't know. Maybe it's for, I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to say what she won't do, so we'll see. I'll let you know how it turns out either way. I'm hoping that.
Save your life, it becomes an imminent danger.
Right.
We're gonna tell you, blink twice.
For
If
real.
you
Like,
need help, blink twice if you need help.
yeah, I'm call the police department and order pizza. Come
Like,
get this crazy ass woman.
listen, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wash the gel out of my hair. I'm gonna stick it up, look like Don King, and I'm gonna start selling tickets and put it home and buy some more t-shirts.
Yeah, right. I don't want no problems. None.
So this is the part where we sum it all up, where we send it all home, where we, just love on y'all a little bit more than we already have. Again, you could have been anywhere, spent your hour doing anything that you wanted to do or needed to do, but you chose to rap with us. This is Mr. DK Walker's Daily Love Jones.
Miss DK Walker? Did you just say Miss DK Walker?
No, I said Mr. Lord.
Look, whoever hears this, no matter where you're listening to this podcast at, I need you to comment below. Right? I need you to not, like, I don't care what form. Like, did she say Miss? Like, it's cool. Like, I don't understand. I get the lack of love in the house, lack of love and respect. I promise you. My daughter she said something like, call me Miss Lady. And for some reason that was so Miss Honey. That's what she said. It was so funny to her. So anytime she want to be a butt, it's Miss Honey. Like, what? Who are you talking to? Like, you gonna make me hurt you, little girl? She be looking like, yeah, I know you won't. You bluffing. You ain't gonna dare hurt me. I promise you. So, like my lovable co-host said, this is a part of the podcast, Love Jones. It's a weekly segment where I supposed to wax deep. Kind of hard to do because I'm only 5'7" and some change, but I can wax wide because I'm fat as shit. So look, love, beautiful thing. But what does it mean to you? Like, I'm not going to be long-winded this because I think I went on a 15, 20-minute rant about, a comic book. So I will not, go all in. But what I will tell you is that you and only you can define what love means to you, no matter where you learned it from. But don't let somebody else's definition define your life. Don't do that. So whether it may be from a comic book, TV show, from the people in your household, whomever, as long as it's in a positive influence, evolve with that. Like if what you're calling love is a negative thing, then you need to reevaluate what you constitute love to be. Right? Like I said earlier, we always talk about love as understanding, loving, committed, the whole nine. All those adjectives and attributes, do me a favor and attribute them to yourself. Like, the greatest love is loving yourself. Like, and I know I said this earlier, but I really want to reiterate that and drive that point home. When you start to accept you for you, like, it took me a real live minute to really just like, man, I love me for all my fuck ups, for all my flaws. I'm recently, and I'm talking about recently, really became my biggest fan. And that shit feels fucking awesome to be like, I'm my biggest fan. And so the new me kind of rubs people the wrong way. Like, you should hear me and my co-host before we cut this mic on. Like, the old me is, always want to be politically correct, always want to find the right thing to say, always want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Like, but sometimes it's just, I apologize, but sometimes you cut to the chase. It is what it is. Same thing with my wife. We can be talking and then, she's saying something that I don't agree with. I just walk away. Like, because you just talking to win. I'm talking to understand. And that all stems from me loving me. And like, if it's not adding to me, then it's taken away. And I'm not going to give my energy to anything that's taken away from me. So I, suggest to you, anybody with, earshot of my voice, let your cup runneth over with self-love first before you even utter the words that you love anybody else. This is DK Walker, your lovable asshole, and we appreciate you spending the last hour with us. I hope you had fun. God knows I did. I promise you, with that doggone comic book story. Yeah, I went way back down memory lane, but in the efforts of being transparent, I promise you, we just begun. And honestly, y'all not ready. Y'all not ready.
At all. Again, you can text us what I said, Mr. DK Walker, at 202-715-1645. You can also always ask DK about his other beatings that his mother or father gave him for whatever antics he pulled. God bless both of them for dealing with that child who's now a grown man. At AskDK@nlpublishing.com. That is ENEL publishing.com. And all other feedback, love, support, things you want to talk about, can go to the Love Is podcast at nlpublishing.com, enelpublishing.com.
Right. Ask me anything on the Ask DK. That's why the first name's Ask DK. So whatever it is that you want to ask, just ask. Like if we're talking about love, let's talk about it. If you're talking about sex, let's definitely talk about it. If we're talking about relationships, let's talk about it. If we're talking about entrepreneurships, let's talk about. We're talking about religion, let's talk about it. Although we will not be talking about a lot of that on the podcast. We won't be talking about a lot about politics either. But if you ask me, we'll definitely address it. So yeah, I don't have the answers to everything. But, I'll have fun giving you my take on it. So please, by all means, hit me up at askdk@nlpublishing.com or text me at 202. That rest of the number is 1645.
I love how you start that one. Like you're unsure of it, and then you give it out anyway.
No, I'm be honest. I grabbed a piece of paper that's written down. I grabbed a piece of note right here.
The post-it note.
Right, I promise the post-it note right here. I was like, where the hell? It's quickly. I look like, okay, it's on my left somewhere. Because I keep it right here. Oh, there we go.
Your so when desk you get like a scene out of Bruce Almighty.
Say again?
I said your desk look like a scene out of Bruce Almighty with all the post-it notes.
Man, I'm old. What you want from me? I got a lot to remember. Like, this ain't my only podcast, Like, I got another joint. Yeah, so I ain't making excuses, but there's a lot on your boy plate. And once again, and I know we actually did the Love Jones and we're still going to look. Once again, like once you fall into or you identify you for you and loving you for you, you take the couple of things happen. Your life and the things that means the most to you become non-negotiable. Right? That's the first thing that happens. And then once you start to love you for you, the limits that you place on yourself, they start to come off. And so the game plan was to actually just do this singular podcast and rock off from here. Right? You know what I mean? I think me and Karen have the best chemistry, going today. Like of all the people that I talk to, well, besides my little brother, like, but that's, we have so much other stuff that we talk about, but far as, a female version of me, but having opposite viewpoints and will stand her ground, like, marriage made in heaven. So the game plan was to rock hard with this podcast, but, the other podcast, Listen Up, I Got a Story to Tell, by yours truly. It's for authors, so, if you want to write a book or, whatever case may be, you make sure you can catch me over there as well. And we're talking all things book related. So, and that comes from when this podcast itself is about love, man. Like you start to love yourself. Like, hey, what can I do? So I'm gonna put my mind to something and I'm going to execute. Bottom line, like put your mind to it. Like, and you can only do that when you're in a good space. So stay in a good space. Life is going to throw you a lot of, fastballs, curveballs, going to serve you up a lot of limits. That's life. You're going to experience life as long as you're alive. The only way you stop experiencing life is the day you die. So if life is going to be life, that means life is going to shovel bullshit your way. Navigate that. That's it's uber important to keep specific people in your life for certain roles. If people are not pouring into you, championing you on, if they are, every time you have contact with them and it's draining, yeah, what are we talking about? You walk away. It's not even a disrespectful thing. The conversation that we're currently having serves me no purpose. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to walk away. Yeah, that's kind of disrespectful, but my sanity is I need that more than, what your perceived lack of, respect is. So you'll be fine. What?
Say we'll send them say you'll send them a box of Kleenex on the way out the door.
I'm not even gonna do that. Like, but yeah, if you think about it, like when you have a conversation, right, or you going back and forth with, that significant other in your life. I won't say an argument. Discussion goes two ways. Let's not use argument because we start off, trying to be, whatever, right? So what happens is you'll make a point, they'll make a point, and then you keep going back and forth. And what happens, you're trying to win a conversation when the point of the conversation be we're having this discussion for understanding. And so if we're not talking to understand, so we're going to have an understanding understood, we ain't talking about nothing. You're wasting, then you get heated. And so you bring up all this stuff out the past just to try to win an argument. And then you still got the problem because you never solved the problem. You got so much this energy, negative energy, or just trying to, I said, and I remember you did, and that you keep going down this rabbit hole. And I'm like, what? Okay, cool. You just arguing just to be mad. Okay. But kiss on your forehead. You want something for dinner? Like, get back to me and we'll talk about it when we want to resolve this issue, not to win this point, counterpoint. Like, I don't know. Like, but that viewpoint of doing that didn't come once again late in life. A couple of things, you know, you get older, you realize what's important, what's not. Once again, it comes back to self-love. It's not helping, you know, the love in me. If you're not helping the love in me grow, you're not helping me, period.
Facts. Well, that is it. That is all for us on the Love Is podcast. DK, tell the people bye-bye.
I will see you next week.
Yes. I would be really cliche and say same time, same bad channel, but I think that's a
You
little
should.
cliche.
Yeah, you should. Love that, man.
Just did. So
every Wednesday, people.
Every Wednesday we would see you same bad time, same bad channel. This is the Thorny Chick Karen KK Rose, my lovable co-host, the lovable asshole, Mr. DK Walker, signing out.
This episode of the Love Is podcast has ended, but please be sure to subscribe for more great content on sex, entrepreneurship, life, love, and how to get through the BS of it all. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring more of that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and, dare I say, the lovable a-hole, Mr. DK Walker. See you on the next podcast.